thinking about Zacchaeus on the tree, a joke comes to my mind. There was this naughty boy, so naughty. So once he went and climbed up on the tree. And his mother was so scared, so she tried to entice him, convince him to come down, all in futile. She tried to give candy, that, this, everything, no hope. Finally, she called the priest from the church. The priest came. He stood under the tree and he prayed, and finally he blessed him. As soon as he blessed him, the boy came down so quickly, perhaps faster than Zacchaeus. When the priest left, the mother asked the boy, I was trying to give you everything. I was trying to persuade you, but you didn't come down. Why, when the priest prayed, you came down? He said, priest prayed? He was saying, if you don't come down, I will cut down the tree. When we reflect about Zacchaeus, perhaps one of the important stories in the gospel when we reflect about our own life. This shows different stages in our spiritual growth. The first stage is to listen to the call with a kind of longing, a desire to want God in my life. So here is Zacchaeus, of course, again, a tax collector condemned by the society, but within him, he was longing for God. So he wanted God to have him in life. And when we think about our life, God's grace is there always, okay, flowing always into our lives. But we may not be aware of that, or the moment of awareness might be now and then. We can say that the moment of grace. So the problem is that if we are not quick enough to respond to those moments of grace, we may lose it. So here comes the second stage, responding to those moments of grace. So here is Zacchaeus. He wanted to see Jesus. Perhaps he did not want Jesus to see him. He wanted to see Jesus, a kind of curiosity. That's okay. So he ran ahead of the people, and he climbed upon this sycamore tree, a kind of fleshy, leafy tree. He might be hiding there so that he doesn't want to be embarrassed. Even the people, he doesn't want the people to see him. He's hiding there. But that first step to see, wanting to see Jesus, Jesus hears his cry within him. It was really a cry within him, that deep longing. So Jesus comes and he looks up and says, Zacchaeus, come down quickly. I must stay today in your home. See the urgency? I must stay today in your home. So the call of God and the response to that call is always a kind of urgent. If we lose it, we lose it. Perhaps Jesus was not going to come anymore through that way. And I think this was his last journey to Jerusalem, on the way from Galilee to Jerusalem. And this was his last way. So if he lost it, he lost it. He was lucky to have him called. This kind of beautiful moments we see in other passages. Just before this passage, this is chapter 19, 1 to 10 in Luke's Gospel. Chapter 18 of Luke ends with another beautiful story, the story of the blind man. There also we see the blind man has some kind of inspiration in him, something special is going on, not the normal crowd. So he's asking, what is happening? So the people say, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. What does he do? He calls out, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. He caught the moment. We see in the Old Testament God calling Samuel in his sleep. He got up, went to Eli, did you call me? Eli said, no, you go and sleep. Second time, third time, again he hears. He doesn't think, okay, Eli told me go and sleep. I'm going to sleep. Who is going to respond again? But each time he goes back to Eli and asking, did you call me? Then finally Eli says, God is calling you. If he calls you again, respond to him. Here I am, your servant, listening to you. And he responded. Listening to God's call, not losing the moment. That is important. And that second stage, it is not that easy. Sometimes it is very risky. For example, Zacchaeus, he had to climb on the tree, even might be facing the embarrassment of the people. Then much more to come, okay? I will come to that. The blind man, the people were persuading him, keep silent, be quiet. But all the more they tried to quiet him, he was more crying out, have mercy on me. In our lives, to respond to God's call, we may have to give up many things. It may have its own pain and suffering, but it is worth it. Thirdly, when we respond and how God comes to our mind, it makes us completely change and transform. What is happening here in Zacchaeus' life? By law, as it is said, he was just supposed to give back what he extorted and plus 20% of the amount he extorted. But here he is saying, Lord, I am going to give half of my possession. It is said he is a wealthy man, okay? It might be a good amount. He said, I am going to give half of my possession. And if I have extorted from anyone, 4 times. A complete transformation. When we experience the salvation, the moment of grace, that makes us not to think, not to look back. We have the beautiful stories of martyrs who even were giving up their lives. Let us be open to experience the moment of grace, which is the moment of salvation for each and every one of us. Finally, if we are able to experience that grace, it is not just for us. Jesus is saying to Zacchaeus, you are saved. No, Jesus is saying, today salvation has come to this home. Not only to him, but to all those who surround him. If we are able to listen to God, his call, to respond to that, many, many more who surround us, who come across in our lives, will also experience the call of God, the grace of God, the salvation of God. Let us be always open to God and to the moment of grace comes to our lives. Let's pray.